welcome to Video Blog with Ms. Rennu. The last few weeks, social media has been hit with so many posts, videos and speculations after the death of the late, very talented Sushant Singh Rajput, which is still under investigation, has been labelled as a possible suicide. And now we have a 16-year-old, very famous TikTok star called Sia Kakkar, who's alleged to have done the same. Don't you wonder? I mean, I've been sitting here wondering all day, why? Why would two successful people in 2 weeks, in completely different parts of their life, and both with a huge fan following, why would both show absolutely no signs of suicide? Now, I'm not in a position to speculate what exactly is going on, and I'm going to leave that to the so-called investigators in India. But don't you wonder, when you have two success stories, young people, 16 years old and 34 years old, why would they do this? Why were there no signs of this? Or were there signs that were just missed? But what does come out of this is one point of reality that we have to accept as educators and as parents. Are we raising resilient children to handle this cruel world filled with nepotism, bullying, rejection, and dealing with so many failures along the way? Are we really raising our children to be able to handle all of this? Let's face it, there is no getting around it. Life is hard, and it is inevitable that we are going to have to learn to deal with hard times and sometimes very difficult, challenging times. For example, what we are all facing right now with the COVID-19. Unfortunately, many of us in parenting are always trying to keep our child comfortable and away from any negativity. We're always overprotecting them. And this has become the culture of raising kids, focusing only on the academics. As parents, we want to stay one step ahead and make sure our child doesn't run into problems. But life doesn't work that way. Remember, overprotection fuels anxiety. And the prime example is those parents who want their children to continue sleeping in the bed with them even when they're 5 years old and older, or those who are scared to pick up their children 5 minutes late in case their child cries. I mean, that's unnecessary. Your child has to remember that life is not a bed of roses. And how are they going to learn that? By you teaching them that life is going to have a lot of challenges, probably less roses and more thorns. This is exactly why, ever since I started my company, Genius Kids, I've been harping on and on about the importance of raising children to become fearless, resistant, resilient leaders. That's right, parents. Those are the skills we have to focus on. So what is resilience? Well, it's defined as the ability to handle difficult situations, the ability to be able to adjust appropriately and keep striving forward, right? So it's our job as parents and as educators to train our children to develop these most needed life skills. So let's begin by breaking down resilience into 3 categories: physical resilience, social resilience, and emotional and mental resilience. So let's begin with physical resilience. What's that? That's when we're going to build up our immunity, right? When things get difficult, especially when we're stressed, what happens to our bodies? We get ulcers, we get headaches, we feel sick, digestive problems. I mean, the list is endless, right? So how do you develop physical resilience? Well, as parents, we already do our best. We want to feed our children well-balanced diets. We want to make sure they exercise, let them go outside, and even during these COVID trying times, your child needs fresh air. So you don't have to take them to public places, but you can definitely step out of your house and do something or play in your backyard instead of just giving them an iPad and having them, buried in an iPad. Another thing, you need to make sure that your child gets at least 9 to 12 hours of sleep in a relaxed state of mind. So yes, parents, no iPads or computers before they go to bed. Instead, you spend the time talking to them. And in these little dialogues you have with them, you're going to build up their confidence and teach them about life. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to build up their physical resilience because that's all connected with their social resilience and their mental resilience. This leads me to the next one, social resilience. Now we know many children show a personality of being very quiet and they want to be alone in their rooms. It is very important for you as parents to change this pattern because such children grow up bottling up their emotions within themselves, and that is not healthy because they're unable to share their issues and their concerns with others. So it's important for you as parents to teach your child social resilience, which means They need to learn to build friendships. What you tell them is, home is always going to be the safe haven, but they need to socially network. They need to build a group of people that they can rely on, they can trust, who they can call, speak to when they have concerns, other than just the parents. You can't just keep a hold of them. You need to allow them to be able to share their issues with other people. Because sometimes as parents, we may not be that understanding. So that's very important. And if you don't, they're going to have a very rude awakening one day because they're going to be unable to share their problems with anyone. And if you're not around, where do they go? So mums and dads, being a loner and living in this highly competitive, cruel world is not a good idea. So enroll your child in activities that's going to develop their confidence and their communication. Stop just focusing on, activities that are just all about winning and getting awards and math. Think about other things. Life is not just about sitting and winning awards. Life is about a lot more. And you need to equip your child to have this personality so they can go out and actually face the world. So please stop focusing on the academics all day long and develop their confidence and their communication skills. That's what's going to build their resilience. Because remember, one day they're going to step out into the real world. How are they going to handle the bricks that are thrown at them if you haven't taught them that life is not a bed of roses? This brings me to the last and most critical one, your mental and emotional resilience. This is a tough one because you need to make your child realize it's okay to make mistakes. Yes, parents, let your children make mistakes, not the gruesome mistakes, the small, tiny, silly mistakes, and as they do it, forgive them for it and teach them that that's how you learn. You learn from your mistakes. Stop hovering around them like a helicopter parent. Stop being the tiger mom that just sits on them and tells them just to study, study, study. Instead, teach them how to learn to fight battles. It's imperative for you to prepare your child for this world ahead. I mean, look what we've just gone through. How many of us have been prepared or were prepared for the COVID-19? I mean, none of us, right? Who was? You need to prepare your child for the unknown. And the way you can do this is by talking to your child. If they have an issue and they bring it to you, don't try and solve it for them. Have a discussion with them. Ask them what they would like to do, how they would like to resolve it. Let them think through the steps. If you start doing all the work for them, how are they ever going to think for themselves? So let them make mistakes. It's okay. And if they bring a poor grade home or something happens, it's all right. It's not such a big deal. Discuss it through them. Don't make them feel that every mistake is a failure at the end of the world, because then you are really not setting up a very bright future for your child. Build your child's confidence by reminding them that it's okay to overcome struggles and that we have to move on. Praise your child. Highlight their positive characteristics about them and teach them that all these challenges will only make us stronger. Give some examples of your failures. It's okay. You don't have to be the perfect parent. Talk about your failures and what has happened to you and how you overcame them. Because children love to hear stories from their parents and they will remember those examples and those stories. Do not give your child all the answers. Failure is not the end of the world. So for all those parents who always want to complete that science project at the last minute because your child didn't want to do their homework and you are more concerned about that A grade, stop. Instead, teach them responsibility. Let them figure out the consequences of not finishing their project instead of you always doing their homework for them, because they're never going to learn that there is a consequence for an action that's not taken. Context is essential to resilience, and remember, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and all we need to do is be able to be optimistic enough to be able to see that light. So this leads me to my C skills of building confidence and character. I call them the C skills, and this is what I'm coming up actually in my future book. The critical life skills, the C skills that every child should have, and here are just some of them that will help build resilience. As parents, we are the child's primary educator. You are the coach for your child. It's up to you to develop your child's competence, confidence, connections, character, coping skills, control skills, and contribution. And with these skills, teach your child to follow the following strategies that I'm going to talk about to build resilience. Number 1, learn to make decisive decisions. That's right. You don't need endorsement from 100 people. You can check your decision with a few and then at the end, make your own decision. Number 2, Learn to accept sudden changes in life as part of our living. Number 3, avoid looking at every crisis as the end of the world, because it's not. Number 4, look for opportunities to change direction and new things, because sometimes we have to do that. Companies do that all the time. They restructure. You have to be able to do that. You need to be able to restructure your life and take a new direction. Number 5, nurture your own positive views about yourself. Teach your child to believe in themselves. No comparisons with siblings or cousins. Number 6, keep things in perspective. Yes, talk about things. That's how you socially network. You talk about things and you keep them in perspective. Number 7, learn to monitor and regulate your emotions. So these are just some things that you can work on as parents to build your child's resilience. Remember, parents, resilient kids will become resilient adults. They'll be able to survive, they'll be able to thrive in the face of unavoidable stresses. I'm going to leave you with a few thoughts. Remember, we can be changed by what happens to us, but we can refuse to be reduced by it. That's right. We can be changed by what happens to us, but we can refuse to be reduced by it. So I appeal to all parents. Stop, pause and think about the priorities that you need to focus on to develop your child into a future leader and speaker. As someone once said, success is not final, failures are not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. So let's build resilient children for the future. Thank you, and do share your views with me. Until next time.